Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of the year. This video is going to be a bit late. I think I promised you a video on the January 5th. It's not coming out on January 5th because I'm recording it on January 5th, but you know, what is another year of broken promises? It's what we live for. I hope you had a wonderful time during the holidays. They're kind of over, kind of not. We are here in Serbia in the between state, meaning that the Orthodox Christmas is on January 7th and things are still slow here, but I decided to, well, I didn't decide, I have a lot of planned work that needs to be done, so we kind of need to get going here. Also, YouTube algorithm does not allow for breaks. So today we're gonna kind of start with like a January reset, New Year, New Me reset, looking at my grow tent here and just laying down the pipes of the new philosophy of 2025 of how I will be collecting plants, how I will be treating my collection. I've been thinking a lot about this, especially in the last month. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of come here, sit with you and have a little chat. So that's what we will do. It's not going to be necessarily plant chores videos, but there will be a lot of talking. You will see a lot of plants, potentially all of the plants from this tent, because we need to have a discussion about them. I also appreciate your thoughts and your inputs on this. Can you not honk while I'm doing a video? If you do have any inputs, anything you want to add, any opinions, I will gladly listen to them or read them in the comments and we can have a little conversation, a little discussion. So what we will be kind of doing today in the video is taking a look at my, well, not the smallest, but two of the smaller grow tents. I have three grow tents in my room by Mars Hydro. One is 150 by 150 centimeters. This is 120 by 120. And I have a small one, 70 by 70 thing that's kind of laid down for propagations. And I need to take a look in this tent today. Well, number one, to see if there are any mealybugs, which probably, at this point, probably, but hopefully not. And number two, to kind of see what plants spark joy and which of these plants don't necessarily need to stay with us in 2025. One of the things that I want to do in 2025, it's kind of like a big goal for me, is to not make more space necessarily, but to really downsize my collection. And we will talk about this. I made a video about downsizing about a year and a half ago now, and I haven't done much downsizing. And that turned out to be a big problem in this year, which again, I will get into. So we need to do it. It's an absolute necessity for many reasons. This is only a one room and I have reached the limits of the space and my personal energy here. So let's change the angle because I need to get on the floor to go through the tent. So we're beginning. So let's start here with the plants. There are not too many plants in this tent, but there are some that no longer spark joy for me. And I think a lot of us have reached that point where we have collected a lot of plants over the past several years, and I can see it with a lot of other people. And also in the comments that there are just some plants that, while gorgeous, beautiful, stunning, are not the top priority in the collection. And I kind of joke about this a lot, but it's kind of true. Like, a lot of these are placeholders or fillers. And I no longer want to have a placeholder or a filler because placeholders and fillers still require the energy. And in 2024, this is going to be like a very honest section. Can we just, like in editing, slap honesty? Maybe some dramatic music. Something like that to kind of announce what's coming here. To be quite honest, I have not been the best Hoya grower in 2024. I might have been the worst Hoya grower in 2024. It has, for me personally, has been one of the worst years in my Hoya growing, because a lot of the plants that I got in 2024 barely grew at all. And a lot of the old plants that I had, those did well because they were really established, but I lost some of the old plants that I had for several reasons, couple of pest infestations. I mean, like a pretty long-lasting mealybug infestation, some mites, and then, root rot, neglect, because it's just way too many things to deal with at once. None of the plants, maybe a couple of the plants that I did lose were more valuable. None, like, we're not talking thousands of dollars here, not even hundreds, like maybe 50, 60, right? And actually one of them I got in a trade, so it's fine. But I do miss that plant, I want to have it. And I realized these plants that I'm losing, the low energy that I have, is sort of because it's too many plants, and even the established ones, because I will show you some established specimens here, and it's going to be like, well, does that really take a lot of time? And the thing is, well, it does, because once you have a pest infestation like mealybugs or mites, it's additional big plant to treat. It's additional big plant that can be a source of infestation. So they do take energy. And I will show you some examples of plants that I haven't been particularly happy with how they're growing, and they should be growing better. And this is another thing that I think I'm going to be doing in 2025 is I am going to take a look at my plants very critically. I'm going to take a look at my plants very critically, and you have 6 months. From the moment, like now, I will say, you have 6 months, you can start growing, I will help you out, I will treat, etc., but you have 6 months. If the condition doesn't improve, it's time for me to think about getting rid of this plant, and if I really, really want it, if I want to grow it, getting a new specimen. For whatever reason, I find this by, I've been growing Hoyas at this point for like, 7 years. Sometimes they're just not recoverable. I have spent a lot of time recovering some specimens, and sometimes they're just not recoverable. You may get growth here and there, thinking like, oh, it's out of the woods, but it's like never going to be as vigorous as it should be. It's not always true, but I think 6 months is a very reasonable time period to see a marked improvement on a plant. For example, my Hoya latifolia from Sarawak. This plant is just not growing, and I'm going to restart it, but this is not a very pretty plant. It has a good root system, or maybe it doesn't anymore, I don't really know. There are roots. I did put it in a bigger pot because it started to grow very quickly at one point, and I expected her to really, because latifolias kind of get big, but then it just didn't. And this is one of the few latifolias that I would like to keep, and because they can get really, really beautiful. It has bloomed many times too, as we can see here, but this is a plant on the list of things that need to be restarted very quickly here and treated, and then we give her 6 months and see is she going to improve or not. So that's number one. Also, I never got as big leaves as the original ones, which I don't really know why that is. I do believe she's in low light, but clearly not low enough. Also, I have seen some clones of this plant that I would prefer to have than this one. This is just not a very pretty plant. So this plant, while I'm not going to get rid of it immediately, I'm going to try to transform it. I will chop this into several cuttings, treat her for mites, so she's going to go into the prop box. I don't know if you want me to record any of this, because now we will be doing mostly talking and showing the plants in the stand. If you do, let me know if you want to see videos on that. It's probably going to be just like a lot of chopping, propping, etc. I'm also just not going to take it out of the tent now because I'm working on a couple of other things here in the room, so there is no space, but I will be marking down the plans for this. So actually, I should get out a notebook and start writing this down. What are the plans? So we're making plans for the new year. I think gardeners do this too. The next one is a plant that I really like. It's recently bloomed. I was supposed to take photos because I don't have great photos of this one, and this needs to be repotted. This is Hoya I kumariana, and She rotted on my wall, so I kind of chopped her and I rooted her in cocoa husk. And this is a good mix for someone who really waters. You can just use straight buffered cocoa husk. Unfortunately, it's proving more and more and more that this is not the best mix for me. So we can actually do some trimming here. There's some dry parts. Yeah, it turns out that like cocoa husk is just not the best mix for myself. I use it in with other mixes and that's fine, but on its own, while great for the roots, it hasn't been so much helpful for the new growth because, well, I don't water enough. This could probably be watered every single day, maybe every other day. So we need to repot this one. I do like her in a hanging pot. I don't like that we don't have see-through hanging pots, but what are you gonna do? Especially like see-through with a saucer, that would be amazing. So for Hoya Mariana, we are just going to do a repot. I'm definitely keeping this plant. A lot of the people say it's very similar to Endauensis. I think Hoya Mariana is prettier in my eyes than Endauensis. I love the leaf shape a lot more. Plus, Endauensis kind of tends to grow a little bit weird over time and very hard to bloom. The next one is kind of a hard decision. This is Hoya melliflua. And this is a very big plant. I actually chopped her significantly several months ago and I sold some of the cuttings because she's just very big. And we are not gonna have space for her soon. I do plan to do something with this grow tent, and essentially, I mean, let's hint it, it's not gonna be here anymore. So we are not gonna potentially have space for this plant. I don't know how is she going to grow in regular room conditions. I think she likes it warm and humid. We can try and see how that goes, but for now she's a keep because I really love this plant. But if it turns out that she doesn't want to grow in any other room conditions here, and if I will most likely not have the space in my other big grow tent for her, she might need to go. So for Hoya melliflua, all that I will write is we need to change the potting mix, and I think that's that. Potentially check on those roots because I do suspect that the roots are not in the best shape. So what we really need to do here is change the potting mix. I have been also thinking a lot lately how there are many Hoya growers that have bigger collections than I do. There are many Hoya growers, Hoya botanists, who also have smaller collections than I do. I oftentimes feel very guilty for like not maybe growing the best Hoya, and there are many reasons for that. I mostly grow with artificial light, but there are a lot of Hoyas in my collection that don't quite make it to the tent. There's not enough space in the tents, so they're not the best growers, even though they're like fairly easy Hoyas to grow. I try with different solutions all the time, you know, putting them on my wall, etc. And some of them loved the wall, some of them didn't. Some of them get too dry on the wall because the access to my grow wall is quite difficult, so they get underwatered quite a lot. I haven't found the best solution for the pots on the wall. I think I'm probably, when it comes to like the solution, I'm maybe on the worst one currently because it's cocoa husk with pots that have like a very shallow saucer, so they cannot be really watered on the wall, which makes it more difficult because I have to take everything down every week, which I don't do. So I do it every other week. I mean, I say this a lot, but I clearly don't practice what I preach. Just because someone is able to grow 500, 1,000 plants and do like whatever other thing in their life doesn't mean that you will be able to. And I think this year I really need to start practicing what I preach because it's definitely way too much for me, especially when something happens like the mealybugs, which I have been treating and treating and treating, and they are still present in the collection. And you know, you can say take things slowly, but it's like incredible amount of work. I still haven't finished repotting all of the Hoyas that I wanted to. A lot of them that haven't thrived that I've gotten this year, the reason for that is because they rooted in cocoa husk. So I haven't been keeping up with the watering. They're in tiny cups. They needed to be repotted. They needed to be put on a trellis. They needed to go in the grow tent under a nice light. A lot of them, not all of them. They, at this point, probably need to be treated for mites as well. So, and they are still not getting any of that done to them because there's just not enough time. I also need to record videos because this is my job. What I also realized, the way that you know that your collection is way too big is that you just can't allow for things to happen in your life. And that is a sign that it's way too much. Because things happen all the time. Unpredictable things happen all the time. And if I cannot have anything happen because of the plants, that's a problem. So I want to change that this year to grow the best possible plants that I can and still allow other things to happen, to allow for other hobbies, because this is, now the main job. So I kind of don't really have a hobby. I would love to get back into reading. I don't have time. I don't have time to watch TV shows. I don't have time to catch up with a lot of my friends. So I would really like to change all of that. And I would still like to grow other plants than Hoya. I love Hoya. They are always going to be species number one, but let's be realistic. There are a lot of issues with Hoyas. And I've been thinking about this lately too. First of all, mites, incredible mites. For example, I got into begonias last year and a lot of them are doing much better than my Hoyas are doing. Sure, they got root mealybugs and I didn't feed them, so I kind of almost killed them, but they're recovering. And the thing is, they almost completely died back and now they're recovering and it's been like maybe a month. For Hoya, it takes so much longer. Like Hoyas can be so easy to rot. If I let this, for example, Cagnacommeriana dry out for a couple of more days, the roots can be dry when I water it next time. Like dry rot can set in so quickly. It will take a lot to recover. Something to think about. Something to think about. But let's continue. I unfortunately burned this one, but I will leave this because this is one of the few that I want to keep in my collection that are of this type. This needs to be trellised. This is Nong Nooch. Is this a new leaf? Does anyone remember? Is this a new leaf? I think it is. Yeah, I think this is a new leaf. Unfortunately, it is so small because it's in higher light, even though I don't think this is higher light. This is 24-watt light. But I want to keep this one. So I need to trellis it. You can see I tried to grow it in my southwest facing window. Burned in a day. Thank you very much. Again, maybe I can try in my northern window. Though I will be honest with you, I don't have a lot of good experience growing growing Hoya in my room conditions outside of my grow tent. They tend to get mealybugs more easily, mites more easily, the growth stalls. They are not really, some of them are thriving, but I just don't like how my Hoyas grow. There are many other plants that do much better in my regular room conditions than Hoya. Orchids, phalaenopsis are thriving, reblooming. Philodendrons, they're doing quite well. Even some of the Gesneriads. So I want to fill those spaces with plants that are thriving. We don't need to do anything with this one except trellis it. That's everything that I will do. I would like to fasten that trellis, but probably not going to be possible. Let's see. Yeah, I think we are at a point where we can still take it out of this mix and just fasten this. And this one is for keep. We have been joined by the elixir of life, which is coffee. Too hot to drink right now. So let's get back into the tent. Let's take a look at two plants here. This one I got from Alex from Switzerland, and this one has been given to me as Hoya for Basie. I have not seen this bloom, and I know I said that I was not going to grow as many of these types of Hoyas, which remains the truth, and I'm not. However, this needs some work. I really wish I started to zip tie these trellises sooner. My life would be so much easier. Now it's kind of like, you have to take everything out, and this one already grew through the holes, but I think, these roots can be trimmed too. So I think what we will do here is we will just zip tie this trellis eventually. It's not a priority. This can be maybe a fun plant chore video at one point, but this one is staying for sure, at least until it blooms. It also does make an interesting leaf from time to time. There was one that was really something that I liked. I think it may be one of these, which were with more splash. compared to something more typical like the old growth. But I will be keeping this one at least for a while. And then at one point, I think in a different video, because it's just going to be a bit too much maybe now to see which of them need to stay in the tents. I think that one doesn't, but I will have to figure out a way where I will keep it. I will definitely do more rearranging. I think I will join some of the plants in my new project, which I'm not telling you yet, that are not too big. They will be joined from this tent and the other one. And then I think the big ones we can keep in the tents, in the tent. I'm already giving away too much. You can probably figure out what I want to do. So this one I am keeping. This is Hoya incrasata outer variegated. This used to be one of the least favorite plants that I have, but it almost made it to my video of one of the Hoyas that brought me a lot of joy. And it's really interesting because this plant never really grew well for me, but I repotted it, I restarted it, and then she just started to grow really well. The variegation now shows up relatively nicely. Some of the leaves still look better than the others, but I think overall this is just like a nice, good-looking Hoya. It's not rare or anything, but I think she looks nice, and I will definitely be keeping this one. Again, fastening the trellis is something that we need to do, so we will probably do that. But other than that, I think she doesn't need any more work. We probably need to trim some of the roots in order to get her out, but that's fine. I find that these don't tend to look anyway that great when they stick to the wick, so it shouldn't be too much of the work. And since she's growing really well in the tent, she may even earn her place and stay in the tents. Unfortunately, she hasn't bloomed, but to be quite honest with you, this was a very small plant until maybe last spring. That's where she kind of started to kick off. I don't know, I think I've mistreated this one so much in the past, but finally she's doing so well, and I'm happy to see her kind of look this nice, and she's definitely staying. She's definitely staying. I think she has something to offer, even though she falls in the same Finlaysoni type Hoya, which I don't want to keep too many of, but she offers something else, variegation. I don't think I have any Hoya from the Finlaysoni type, from the Finlaysoni complex, which has variegation aside from this one. So that alone earns her the spot in my collection. And this plant for a lot of people can also look very ugly. I don't know what it is about incrasata, but finally she grew out of that ugly phase and now she's looking really, really nice. The next Hoya is also something that I plan to keep for sure, but it needs a lot of work. This is Hoya Chicken Farm, or Finlaysoni. It's a Hoya Finlaysoni. She does make very nice leaves from time to time. She doesn't look maybe as good now as she can look, but I'm definitely keeping this one. She needs a lot of work. She needs a repot. She probably needs to be trimmed back a little bit, potentially even restarted. I don't really know what is the state of the roots. Maybe good, maybe bad. But this is something that I would like to keep. Depending on the conditions, maybe I will try her outside of the tent. I don't think Finlaysoni needs to be in the tent. Most of mine aren't. And maybe we rework the space a little bit so we can accommodate all of them outside of the tent. This one, again, we're definitely keeping, but the next one, we're not. And I don't really know in which way I will get rid of this yet. It's not ugly. It's just your regular Hoya latifolia. It has a lot of buds. She will get washed, cleaned, and yeah, we are not keeping her. She's healthy. There are no mealybugs on her. She's growing. The roots are good. More than good. So that's all nice, but this is a big Hoya, and if I can choose which latifolias to grow, because as I said many times, I'm not fond of their flower. I don't like it. It's small. They bloom a bit too much for my taste. They make a lot of mess. A lot of nectar will be on the leaves, and that just attracts more pests. So if I can choose which one to grow, I would probably choose Sarawak to get to this size, and then the inner and outer variegated one. So that kind of doesn't leave space for this. I would love to be only one species type of a person. I can't. I can't do that, but I think we can satisfy ourselves with 3 latifolias. So Sarawak, the inner and the outer variegated, and then this one we need to say goodbye to. There is another one that I also might say goodbye to. I would like to see it bloom. I've seen this one bloom. I haven't documented it, and it would be nice if she would bloom one more time at least before I get rid of her so I can document it. But yeah, it's just not something that... I can't say that it doesn't spark joy, but it doesn't spark a tremendous amount of joy. It's just a mid-joy kind of a thing, and we're not going for the mid-joy. Let's mark that down. She got a 0. I'm sorry, I do like you, but it's a 0. So we have this Hoya lacunosa, Durian Perangin waterfall, and she's cute. She's very small. The leaves are very chubby and small, and I think that's because of very high light that she has been exposed to. She needs to be repotted, and I need to figure out what is the best way to grow these. So I'm not really sure if that's going to be a self-watering pot that I will hack or something else, but these types we need to repot. And there is another one. So Durian Perangin absolute keep. Want to grow it big. I want to have a nicer specimen. But same for this. Oh, she's gonna bloom again. It's been such a long time since I saw this bloom. And on many places too. Let's just trim some of these and get the leaves out. I don't know if anyone ever uses this to get their leaves out. I know there is a tool for it, like terrarium tweezers. I do love this plant, and we want to see her thrive even more. She has made a great recovery. I do believe she had mites. She's been treated for mites, and I see a lot more growth. We want to grow her out even more. I want this to be one of the specimens that grows big. This is Hoya microstemma. Is it microstemma? Microstemma. Beautiful white flower that hasn't been properly documented, and she's gonna flower much more than ever before, judging by how many peduncles I can count. I see 1, 2, at least 6 peduncles that I see. So that's gonna be very, very nice. One of my favorites, and it's about time she gets treated, actually, like one of the favorites. Don't you think so? Also, I'm pleased to see there are no mealybugs here. This is wonderful, wonderful Hoya that is definitely, absolutely staying. We have an issue with this verticillata. I don't really know what happened. This one grew to be one of the best looking verticillatas, and it took her a while to get going, and then she fell apart. She started to lose leaves with no rhyme or reason. I think it was maybe mites, but they would just start to fall off. And I couldn't stop it. I lost 30, 40 leaves. I don't know. I trimmed back the vines. She was all wrapped around this. Unfortunately, it was one of those mysterious things with Hoya. I don't really know what it was, but I'm glad she's alive. The root system is good on her. She doesn't have mealybugs. I think maybe it was mites, maybe it was something else. But in any case, she reacted very poorly. And we're not back to where we started, because we started this from a small cutting and it took quite a long time to get going. But now I'm just, hoping to grow her out. This is going to stay. It's the inner variegated Hoya verticillata. I want her to stay and I want her to thrive. And we could probably look into that mix a little bit, into the roots. So we will do that eventually, but she's definitely staying. This one is also something that I want to keep, though we need to see where we will keep her, because these two are really identical. This is Verticillata RB Mini. It does have an EPC number, might be 199. This is Verticillata EPC 997, I think, is the number. I think these are the same. I don't see a lot of the difference. This one had mites. We need to keep treating her. So we need to grow this out more. I had several plants of this and I kept this one because this is the original mother plant. It made least sense to keep her because she wasn't the best grower. Some of the propagations grew better. But I think I'm going to be keeping these two because I haven't bloomed this one yet, but they really look identical to me. So when I bloom it, we will see. This one definitely does tend to get more splash. But in any case, I want to keep it for sure because this is one of my favorite verticillata flowers on this one. And I assume it's the same. It's the type of flower of verticillata with the purple center. So for now, we're going to be keeping these two, but I will think about potentially getting rid of one if they turn out to be exactly the same. We have several more verticillatas. These essentially I really like, and it's going to be hard to get rid of them. I think they're all unique in a way, and I don't think this one has bloomed. This is from Hoya province, which it does seem to have good roots for the most part. It does need to be re-trellised, I think. We need to rethink the trellising, but I think she can go outside of the tent. I think if we make sure that she is treated for mites, I think she can go outside of the tent. And I really like her because of these elongated, splashy leaves. We do need to see what outside of the tent would look like. Something more aesthetically pleasing, which is actually one of the goals for 2025 is to make everything look nicer, more aesthetically pleasing, because you know, when you think about why we collect plants, well, it's for their beauty. And don't they deserve to be displayed in the best way possible? Grow tent is fine because some of them have to. And if I had a choice, I would definitely build a greenhouse or like a huge glass cabinet indoor. Like I've seen some people have indoor greenhouses. I would absolutely do that. This is the cheapest way to get it. So, you know, compromises is made, but would I love to live without a grow tent? Absolutely. Would I prefer something see-through? Absolutely. Don't make any mistakes about that. And I want to slowly go towards that. That is sort of the goal, but it's impossible for me, mostly financially, it's impossible for me to do that now because I did some calculations and probably like to build something as big as these two grow tents to be see-through and in the room would run around 3,000 euros. Which is not the money that we currently operate with. The next one got re-trellised. She also has a leaf that doesn't belong to her. This is from Kaimuki. This is also Hoya verticillata, former Weibergiae, and it's very beautiful, very splashy. This one is staying. I will make eventually a video on the whole Weibergiae thing, but I'm just sorry, there is just Hoya verticillata. There are many stories out there about the true Weibergiae, and I have checked this. And I know why it would be lovely for there to be a true Weibergiae, but there isn't. It is verticillata. People will often say there is a clone with 5 these veins, and that's the true Weibergiae. It is still verticillata. It's still verticillata, and there is a whole story behind it, which eventually I will tell, but not now. So we took out how many? We took out verticillata, Hoya province. So I'm keeping that one, and I'm keeping the former Weibergiae. Now you're wondering, Miro, which of the verticillatas are you getting rid of? Hold on, we will get there. Or we won't. Actually, we won't. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have a verticillata problem. I have a verticillata problem, and I shouldn't have a verticillata problem, but here we are. We have 2 more verticillatas in here, and one of them has bloomed, and I don't like the flower. It's the type of the flower that I don't like. And that one will go in the maybe. The only thing that I like about it is the leaves, because they are so nice. So this is Hoya verticillata cobwebs. Shh, let's not show that to the people. Let's pretend you're always clean. This is Hoya verticillata, the chonker. I mean, like, Jesus, the chonker. Can you see this peduncle? This is thick-ass peduncle. That's only fans-worthy peduncle. You know, gifted, very gifted. So this is AH006, and this verticillata in lower light, nothing spectacular, or sorry, in higher light, not too spectacular, but look at the leaves she made. I mean, I don't know, for some reason this is like very, very attractive to me. So I'm going to keep her for now. I will put her in the maybe, but to be quite frank with you, I'm gonna say that I will probably keep this one because there is something about this one that I will allow. I can't explain it. She needs to be repotted to a new mix. Ugh. She's also incredibly heavy. Like, I don't even think that she's watered because she seems dry, but like the leaves, like everything is so heavy with this one. So the chunker, the, you know, triple X, whoever verticillata is staying. For now, I will put a maybe, but let's be real. The next Hoya verticillata we are also keeping. It is an NS clone of Hoya verticillata, which I have not yet bloomed, but it's supposed to have very, very nice flower, similar to the ones that I told you, like the former Vibergiae. The leaves are okay. They're not the best looking verticillata leaves, and she does have a peduncle someplace, I believe. I think I would keep this. I think I would, you know, if I have to choose between the latifolia and the verticillata, I would always choose verticillata because they just make nicer flowers. And I like their flowers a lot more. This is an interesting story with this verticillata. Basie got this from Svetlana in France, and I mentioned Svetlana before. I got my Hoya uniflora from Svetlana. And Basie did get a lot of her Hoyas from Svetlana as well. And Svetlana is someone who has been in the Hoya collecting landscape for many, many years, potentially decades. And she was very close friends with Toril Nijhuis, and she is close friends with Nathalie Simonson. And Svetlana did bloom this very early on. And Toril said this, I can't remember, I might be misquoting, but I think it took like 10 or something, maybe 15 years for Toril to bloom this. And I think Svetlana was actually the first one to bloom this particular clone of Hoya verticillata. Basie bloomed her fairly quickly, in about a year and a half, I think. Mine is definitely 2 years old. There is a peduncle, but it's not blooming yet. So I do know what the flowers look like, and they are very nice. They are the type of verticillata flower that I will keep. So I'm interested to see this bloom, and then we will make the final decision, but really I do believe I will be keeping this. Maybe it doesn't make the most sense, because I don't particularly love the leaves, but I think I will like the flower. And then maybe in like some other iteration of downsizing, we can rethink it. But for now, I think we can say yes. So far, I only said no to one Hoya. I just said no to only one latifolia. So we're not... The track record ain't track recording. But, you know, I already kind of went through my Hoyas, and the ones that I didn't want to keep, they're not in the tent anyway. So this is like not even the first iteration of this. I moved out a lot of my Finlaysoni from the tent, and they are in my windowsills. And those are the ones that will probably go first, and then some of these from the tent will take the windowsill place. Oreostema needs to be restarted. This plant started off strong and then she didn't do anything. She needs to be probably treated to... I mean, there are roots. I don't think the mix is good for her. I think she has mites, or she had mites. I think we have made a lot of mistakes with this one. I think we really need to do something here with her. So one of the first things that I will do is I will probably cut back this vine a little bit, or maybe even all the way, because there's just no indication of new growth. So I might just cut it all the way to here. We are keeping this one because I like the leaves and I like the flower, but this one has not been thriving. So this is the 6 months. I will write the date. I swear, I will write the date. I will try to help her, but from now on, you get 6 months to make a full recovery or you are out. When I say full recovery, I expect to see like 4 or 5 nodes with leaves. There you go. 6 months. So there you go. I'm being very cruel here. I mean, I've had her since October of 23. So it's been a year and a little bit more. That is not what we are proud of. We're not proud of that growth. I did bloom her several times. I did highlight her in Hoya of the Week. And someone said in Hoya of the Week that she prefers to be outside of the tent, that it started to grow for them outside of the tent. That's how the other one croaked, actually. I took her out of the tent in my windowsill. She croaked. So yeah, I'm keeping her in the tent. And it's not that it cannot live outside of the tent. That's not what I'm saying. The thing is, a lot of the Hoyas that leave this room may be gone for good. I am somehow managing my hallway, but I can be divided into so many places. I tried a lot of Hoyas outside, predominantly carnosas, and the summer was too hot. I could not keep up. I was overwhelmed. I generally feel very, very unwell in summer. I feel my energy is super low. I feel depressed. The heat gets to me. I'm just in the lowest of the lows. I swear, like, people go through seasonal depression. I think for me it's summer. Like spring, love it. Fall, love it. Winter, okay. Summer, because it gets so hot here. It's like heat wave after heat wave. You can't go anywhere. You're extremely unpleasant wherever you go. And I can't be growing anything outside. So I will not be trying that again. If I do, tell me that I'm the most delusional person ever. Remind me of this, because I will probably in 3 months tell you, oh my gosh, I have this new idea about growing outside over the summer. You need to stop me. You need to come to my home and slap me for like 2 hours straight until I completely abandon that idea, like, you know, waterboard me until I forget that there is even a yard. But the reason why the other one croaked is I took her outside of my tent and I took her to my windowsill in the hallway, and I couldn't keep up with the watering, so she went way too dry. I can be split. All the plants need to be mostly in one room. I can have a little bit in the hallway, but they need to be absolutely the toughest ones because I cannot keep up. I can't keep up with the watering. You know, I think if this room was 5 times the size and I had 5 times more plants, I would keep up eventually. Like if it was just the plant room, I would keep up with the watering. Now it's kind of tricky because this is also the room where I record videos, and, you know, a lot of stuff needs to be moved around all the time, which makes more mess. But like, I honestly believe if I had a dedicated plant room that was 5 times the size of this and it was just for plants, I would stay on top of everything and I could have a lot more plants. But like being divided and having this be the bedroom and where people come when they visit me and to film here, I can't keep up on, you know, with all of that. This latifolia I got from Hoya Passion. This is latifolia from Look River. I bloomed this. She looks like a regular latifolia. I can't remember if the flowering was better, if it was like a nice ball of flowers. So this one is under a maybe. I want to see more growth out of this. And then within, I think we will give 6 months to this one as well. 6 months and then she can leave. Because I don't see a huge difference between these two clones, to be quite frank with you. There is definitely some, but not huge. And they grow in the same conditions, so I don't know. I will keep this one for a little bit longer. I actually think this one from Look River does go red quite nicely. This one doesn't go red. We have one more on the lower shelf, and this one is tough because I love the flower, but I don't like the leaf. And let's see. I can't get her out. Let me seduce you. Oh gosh, bad idea. Okay, lift with your core. That was giving birth to a Hoya. Oh my goodness. This needs to be heavily edited and censored, you know, just heavily censored. This is Hoya I Purple. Hoya I Purple is a Hoya that I don't like the leaves of, but I do like the flower of. And she's very divisive. If you ask me, she is just not very pretty. Not very pretty leaves. But the flowers are very nice. She does need to be treated for mites. I don't think these leaves are like that due to mites. They're just like that for many people. I can't figure out why that is, why there is this discoloration. I think maybe it's nutrient related. I don't really know. By the way, there are several clones of Hoya I. There are some with much nicer leaves. This one is just not it. However, that being said, I want to keep this because of the flower. I will put her in maybe. I will put her in maybe. The flower is really, really nice, but I need to think about it more. Maybe in lower light, the leaves can look nicer. We can try that, actually. Okay, so with the bun, we courageously proceed to the top of this grow tent. This one I transitioned recently, and the leaves are actually staying firm, which is a miracle. AH049, I believe I told you this is. This one is a keeper. And this one is going to stay in the tent for a little while until she grows bigger. I don't think she needs to stay in the tent, but she's looking very nice, and I think I will find a spot for her. Let's see how she's adjusting. Do we see any new roots? Nope. The old ones are looking incredibly unsexy. Oh, there is a new root. I see one new root. Very, very small. The old ones, as I imagined, are quite affected by the transition, but there is new root. I love this plant. This is one of the rare occasions where we will keep some of these Finlaysoni type crosses. I don't need much from that Hoya except for the nice foliage. I will be quite content. A big Hoya like this with all the leaves looking kind of like that. Extremely content. Extremely content. So we are keeping her. She is staying. Okay, I think I need to change some things now because I have Hoyas all around me, and then we can look at the top shelf. A great thing about being tall, you do not fit in the frame. Love it. So we have moved up, and we have several more plants here that we need to look at. And to be quite honest with you, except from one of them, I don't think I'll be getting rid of any, though there will be a couple of 6-month candidates. One of the 6-month candidates is this Hoya McGillivray from Iron Range. I have said many times in my videos, I don't do well with Hoyas like Archbaldiana, McGillivray. I don't do well with them, and time after time, this is proven. This is just... What is this? This is like a year old, June 23. This is more than a year old. What is this? What are we doing? Why is this looking so detestable, you know? Why is this looking so awful? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think we will need to change the potting mix here, and like, it has good roots. I just don't really know. Why do you hate me? They get good light. They get good humidity. I think we need to trellis it down at this point, which actually I will do off camera. I swear, like, all of the Hoyas, I will bloom much sooner than these. And it's a shame because I really like the flower. I mean, I like what I see when it comes to the flower of McGillivray, Archbaldiana, etc. But this is just not the vibe. So I actually think what I will be trying with these is to just move them out of the tent. The privileged treatment for these plants is over. We have a kaimuki in there, and I just think, like, I'm done with the privileged treatment. You have been getting the tent, and you have had all the opportunity to grow incredibly beautiful, and you gambled it away. They gambled this opportunity away, so I'm just done. I really am done with these. I will just have to accept that I may never be able to grow nor bloom any Hoya that is like Archbaldiana, Onychoides, McGillivray, and that's that. That's just going to be my bane, because I can't stand the growth. I really can't stand it. If this had any other type of flower, this would have been gone from my collection a long time ago. Like, if this was just any other type of flower, I would have thrown this out, because this is just not anything that I like. So I will write down 6 more months. And you know, I've given it more than enough time. I think a year and a half at this point, plus 6 more months, so 2 years, is more than enough to turn your life around, which they haven't done. I do have another one here, which is my Hoya Lidleana, And that one is doing a little bit better. Bear in mind, not tremendously better. At least we have some presentable enough look. The roots are good. I think maybe I need to repot the McGillivray in a similar mix that is mostly bark, and maybe not even in a self-watering pot, and maybe then we will get someplace. So with this one, really, I don't love the leaves. I will stand them. I'm waiting for this to bloom. Is this Lidlana or is this Kaimuki? No, wait, that's not Lidlana. This, we're actually talking about Kaimuki here. This is Kaimuki. Okay, Kaimuki can stay. Not amazing, but Kaimuki can stay. I will not put a maybe, but I will think about a different place. We will wait for the flower on Kaimuki. Lidlana is the other one, which doesn't look amazing. Once again, I don't really know what's going on, except that these plants don't like me. I mean, just look at that. What is this? What is that? Is it too much light? Is it pests? I don't think it's pests. I don't see a peduncle. Give me a peduncle and we can talk about life. It's just like, what is this? Yeah, that's a NS clone of Lidlana. I just don't feel the vibes. The roots are okay. Like, they're not rotten. It's not overwatered. I think, you know, I'm not going to give this one a maybe, though she really deserves a maybe. This is also June of 23. This one definitely deserves a maybe, but I will keep her just because of the flower and just because it's NS of something. Like, Natalie Simonson Hoyas have some power here in my collection, but I'm not loving it. To be quite frank, I'm not loving it. If she gives me more leaves and she fills out this trellis, I will feel better. Like, they absolutely need to bloom. I don't want to grow this for the leaves because they're nothing to write home about, but at least I will feel better. Like, currently I don't feel very good. Though I prefer the leaves on this one than on Kaimuki. I prefer the leaves on this one. Now, this next one is my Hoya benguetensis, I think. This is a Hoya that I really like. I want to give her a new mix and maybe even a smaller pot. I don't think it's necessary. She's not growing, to be quite honest with you. I think there might be some root issue with this one, or a mite issue, or potentially both. She does flower a lot. She has gorgeous flowers. This one is definitely going to stay. I love this plant a lot, and I found one mealybug on it, which incredibly thrills me now. But yeah, this one is staying. This one is staying for sure, and there's not much to say about it. It needs repot, retrellis. This is one of those kind of maybe plain looking plants that we allow to stay in the collection. And she has a lot going for it. I really like the leaves. They're beautiful when they first emerge because they are like red. But also when they grow up, I think they look very attractive. They're very elongated, and I like the way that it grows too. It's very manageable. It's extremely floriferous. I wish the flowers lasted longer. They only last for 2 or 3 days. Look at this. Can you see that? How long that is. It bloomed so many times. It is such an amazing representative of the Hoya and everything that I love about Hoyas. So this Philippine Hoya can stay. The next Hoya that I'm definitely keeping is this Hoya Myrmecopa Purple. I really wish, again, I had better flowers of this one. I think this is just a really cute Hoya, especially on a trellis. I think she looks cute. She would need a repot from the pond, and probably like she could do, I think, in a smaller pot, and maybe on a smaller trellis this would even look nicer. I mean, it doesn't look ugly or anything, but this is truly a Hoya that really likes the highlight. She really thrives. She blooms a lot. The flowers are small. They smell to me of chamomile tea. Mark Randall said that they smell of dirty socks. So thank you, Mark. I do like the smell. It's chamomile tea for me. I don't know if different clones smell differently. Certainly what is possible that one Hoya can smell one way to me and another way to someone else. So, you know, when someone tells you a Hoya smells like something, take it with a bit of reservation, or with a bit of reserve, not reservation. But this one is staying. Another thing that I'm sort of doing here on the secret without telling you, because that's a topic for another video, I don't want to be giving away anything too much in advance, is where these can go. I mean, you know, you made it this far into the video, so maybe I can tell you I'm getting rid of this tent. I want to get rid of this tent, and I'm sort of seeing which of the Hoyas can go on the shelf, which can go in the window, where can I cram them in, where they will do good, because I just feel a little bit like a crazy person with 3 grow tents. So this one is going to go, and I'm making something to replace it, but it's going to be much smaller, and it will be only able to fit Hoyas that are kind of like this. So most likely nothing too big, but we are looking for like nice and well-established plants that are kind of smallish, like this Cutis porcellana falls into that category. Not too big, and it can fit there. Which is also another one that I'm keeping, Cutis porcellana. I love this Hoya. It needs a repot, but I love it, and it can go where I want it to go. And for this thing that I'm building, I'm also taking out Hoyas to kind of measure them out, to kind of predict how many I will be able to fit. But I'm thinking 36 can fit into that thing. So another thing that I'm sort of going to do off camera here is I'm going to write which are the potential candidates for this thing, and I'm also going to see which of these I will combine with the Hoyas in the big tent. I'll probably not finish all of that today. My goodness, we are in the tent. Another keeper is Hoya AH020, needs a repot. It's right next to me. Yeah, this needs a repot, a mite treatment. I might actually repot these in a video. I will think about it. Let me know if you want to see me repot still some of these in pawn that are somewhat well-established specimens. Maybe we can do that in a video together. But yeah, this one I think can be repotted as well. Now we have Hoya calycina. Hoya calycina has made several peduncles here, but she hasn't bloomed. I think I chronically keep this Hoya too dry. She has a nice root system. But yeah, she's chronically too dry, and I think in too much light. She's very, very pale. I want to keep this one. I want to grow it. We will see what the flowers will look like. I'm not particularly thrilled with the leaves, to be honest. With these big ones, sure. But I definitely liked them more when they were greener. This needs to be watered, but other than that, it's fine. We can keep her. This one does need work. Needs a mite treatment, a retrellis, and a repot. This is Tequila Sunrise. I'm keeping this one as well. I think this can be a candidate for the future project. So it needs to be trellised better, and yeah. You know, I like this plant. It's not among my favorites, but it's not something that we need to get rid of right away. So that's okay. It hasn't been growing much. This plant should be much bigger. Clearly, we're struggling with mites. We're also like evaluating the overall health of the plants. So I will write mites, repot, retrellis, so I know what I need to do. Same with this Hoya Geneve. A beautiful coloration on this plant. I really love it. Needs a retrellis. A repot, no, though she is really making a lot of roots here. She needs a serious, consistent mite treatment. So we will see if she can fit into my plans for the new project, but I think I will be keeping her in the tent for now. Latifolia needs a repot, a trellis, and not in amazing health. I don't think this is in amazing health. It could be the roots, it could be the mites. I'm thinking maybe I cut her here. I don't really love that we have a branch here that kind of doesn't know what it's doing. So I might see. Maybe if I can kind of trellis it to hide that. If I could hide it, maybe I will leave it. Looks a little bit better. Even just by putting that leaf on top, it already looks better. I want to keep her for sure. I've been hunting down this clone for a while, but it's not the nicest grown. And I think this is because of the mites, but also she has struggled from the beginning because she arrived from a very bad nursery. This is what I'm telling you. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Start over with the plant. Here we have a mess. I made a mess with this one. This is Hoya I, and I potted both color forms, the yellow and the, sort of the regular one. I want to separate them. They need to be treated for mites, though I think that they started to grow now, so maybe we're out of the woods. However, it wouldn't be bad to treat them and to, once again, separate them. I think one of them is doing better than the other. Yeah, the one that is doing better is the yellow one. It wasn't a great idea to put them together. I thought it was. It's not. But luckily, they're still okay-ish. I also think the roots are not amazing in the pond, so that needs repot, retrellis, mite treatment, separation. It needs a lot of things. And it's definitely a keeper. I love Hoya I. Unfortunately, the yellow one still hasn't bloomed, and the red one hasn't bloomed in a while. We're up to 32 Hoyas in this tent. My Hoya mitrata is still, unfortunately, under the influence of the repot from pond to organic mix. I don't think I will be doing anything with her. I think we are on the mend. Yeah, I see nice new roots. So we are definitely on the mend. Now it's just continuing the mite treatment because she has mites and managing her, maintaining her, getting some new growth, seeing how we will trellis it. That's essentially what we will do. This one I think likes higher humidity, so she will stay in the tent. Any of the tent, she cannot go anywhere else. She's very big. So it's just about keeping this as healthy as possible, showering, cleaning the leaves. And this is just a staple of my collection. It blooms a lot. I love the flower. Very smelly. Overall, I'm happy with the mealybug situation in this tent. It seems to be improving. We will see in the other tent. This one never had a huge problem, but it had a bit of a problem. I also want to get a couple of more clones of mitrata because I really love it. This is Erythrostema. She hasn't bloomed yet. I will see if I will like the flower in person. The leaves are only so-so. This is a UT clone of Erythrostema, but I forgot the number. I'll have to look it up in my database. This is currently a keeper until she blooms, but after she blooms, if I end up not liking the flower, well, then she's gonna go. I only need to fasten the trellis here and that's it. The rest is fine. She's growing. Hopefully we can see a bloom soon. I think this might be a peduncle or a new vine because I think I broke the tip. The only goal here is to get this to bloom. I think this one would look nicer on a smaller trellis. I think this trellis is very ambitious because the leaves are not big. But then on the other hand, I can wrap this around then many times to fill this trellis out. So potentially it's not such a bad idea, but it can go on a smaller trellis if I needed to save space. We're coming to another one that has been long in my collection and she recently bloomed. I wanted to get rid of this one for a long time now, and I think this is the year we might do it. She does have some redeeming qualities now. She didn't have them for a very long time, but now she has some redeeming qualities, which are mostly coloration. It took winter and a lot of light for this to color nicely. She has a lot of buds. I don't know, I will think about it. I think I will put this under maybe. This is Hoya I. I don't know. I like it more than Hoya latifolia, but it's not my favorite. This trellis needs to be stabilized though. I mean, the coloration now is gorgeous. I think it looks very nice. It has a bunch of flowers. The flowers are nothing to write home about. They're not big. They're not I mean, the fragrance is okay from what I remember. They didn't leave any particular impression on me. And, you know, it's just a lot of mids again. It's okay, but the leaves are not the most impressive. The flower is not the most impressive. It sure blooms, but yeah, I don't know. I will think about it. But I think I will leave it under the maybe. But I'm leaning more towards getting rid of this one. I'm leaning more towards it because if we just look at the most impressive coloration between these two, obviously Geneve wins here. They're not comparable because this is a cross, this is a species, but you know, I'm just not sure. Not sure about this one. We're approaching the end here, thankfully, because you're probably sick of me. We have this verticillata, which my goal is to really bloom this one again. I bloomed it once and I missed the flower, and she has 2 peduncles. Oh my goodness. This one is a very special verticillata. She needs to be trellised. I really hope she blooms soon, because again, we have 3 peduncles. Girl, there's no excuse. This is Hoya verticillata with a pink flower. The leaves are not something to write home about. They're just plain, kind of light green. So nothing spectacular. Again, just okay. However, the flower is supposed to be a really lovely pink. And, you know, pink verticillatas are not entirely common. Oh, I'm gonna fall down. Let me just trellis her. Not the best trellising job here, but here we go. So this one has very light color of the leaves. They're kind of limeish. And this one is definitely going to stay actually in the best possible conditions because I want to see that flower. The first time it bloomed, I missed it. Unfortunately, I missed it. And it's supposed to be a really gorgeous color. And as I said in one of my previous videos, this one that started this all, lovely Hoya Flora Island, species Flora Silence, UT039. We're keeping her for sure. So this one is staying. We will see if she needs to stay in the tent. I have a whole box of flagellata seedlings, which I don't really know what to do with them. Some of them are getting very nice and splashy. I need to start selecting these and choosing which ones are going to stay. I think the rest of them can go to a trusted person. I can't even show them to you. I think I need to select someone who is going to be a carer, and you know, they have to bloom in this other person's collection, because I still don't know if these are going to bloom with a different color flower. Are there going to be any interesting traits? I don't know of any flagellata seedlings in cultivation, so these are somewhat special. I think I will select the ones that I like the most, and I probably need to limit myself to 4, no more than 4. I have my Hoya Burtonia here, the true Burtonia, which now I see is underwatered. So we need to take care of that, because I actually managed to rot this after it bloomed. You are welcome. So she needs to be repotted, watered, and taken better care of, probably taken away from me by the Hoya police. You can see how wrinkly that is. Obviously this mix is just not for me, but I do see new growth, so that's nice. And then we have my Sigillatises. I think this is VL9, which once again just needs a slightly better mix, but it's actually doing okay. This one rotted in pond, it was super dehydrated. It's back to now having roots, but it still hasn't started to grow. And that's because I'm not watering it enough. This is the NS clone. I actually have several of these. The NS clone of Hoya sigillatis, very beautiful coloration. But the other ones that I have are actually growing in a different tent. So I will either join those, or I don't know, maybe I will grow them out separately. I was thinking about selling some of these here locally, but you know, I made a big pot here. The other ones are in smaller pot. And then GPS 7240 is growing now. It's actually doing quite well in this mix. Maybe we don't even need to change this mix. This one is probably the one that is most prone to rotting out of the all Hoya sigillatises that I have. Do I hear a kitten once again outside? I think I've been hearing kitten for a couple of days, but I went to check and I haven't seen any kittens outside. But I swear I'm hearing a kitten, like just a moment ago. Anyway, we have two more sigillates. This one just needs better care, to be honest. This is the most regular flower shop sigillates. That's a rescue. It has good roots, but it's not watered enough. I think I need to treat this for mites and just give it a better care. It's in a crazy amount of light, so you can see that those leaves, they should be long, but you can see the new ones are very small. And I keep thinking I'm giving them not enough light, but obviously it's too much. So this one still needs some work. It needs some work. It needs to get better. I need to get better at taking care of it, which means it can't stay at the back of the tent. And then the same with this one. This one needs a mite treatment. This one hasn't been the best grower. This is AH001, I think. It has a lot of aerial roots, which I will trim because I don't like them. They're dry. They're not necessary, but I've been lazy. It has good roots here. It's actually doing really well, but needs to be watered, as we see. My camera needs to quit it with my face. So these are staying. All of these are staying. I love Hoya sigillatus. It's one of my favorite Hoyas. If I had to choose between lacunosa and sigillatus, I would choose Hoya sigillatus. So there are 43 plants in this tent, which is quite a lot with, if we count all of the flagellata seedlings, even more. Actually 44, I need to say Burtonia needs to be repotted. I think we're probably, with all the seedlings counted individually, around 60 plants in this tent. So yeah, my project for the future is actually quite ambitious, to go from 60 to 36, and a lot of these can go into what I plan to make. So that will be interesting to see, but I have some Hoyas in the other tent that could be joined with some of the smaller ones here. So I think we will be fine, but yeah. I am not quite sure I did a really good job here because a lot of them are staying. I think only one I'm getting rid of, potentially two with that Merili, and if we're really pushing it, three with the Verticillata. But I think a couple of them got the 6-month notice. It's not the best. It's not the best job that I did here, but it's a job. And we got to check the overall health of the Hoya, which I would give them like a 6. Some of them I would give a 10, like that Incrasata. Some of them I would give like a 2, like my Hoya McGillivray and that Oreostema. So we're not entirely happy, but it's okay. I'm glad that I saw only 1 or 2 millibugs, which seemed dead. That's a good thing. So overall, I would say we are okay. I'm going to finish the video off here. I will see you in the next one. Let me know what are some of your plans, hopes and dreams for 2025. Are you looking to downsize? Are you looking to get even more plants? What will you be doing? Let me know if you want to see some of these repots, if you want to see me go through another grow tent to kind of decide what can stay and what needs to go. And just wish me luck getting out of here because I've surrounded myself again. Hoyas all around. I cannot leave this place. I feel trapped like those dwarves in Moria when orcs came for them. I still need to marathon Lord of the Rings. I want to do that during the holidays. Because it's still holidays here. It's still holidays, but I will see you in the next one. Love you all, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful new year. Let's all be better. New year, new us, right? We are entering the best versions of ourselves yet. Okay, bye! I would like to take some time to thank all of my patrons for their incredible support. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons, my 2 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenthal, Anne Margaret Moyne, Angela Bernard, Angela Parrish, Anna P. and C. Aspen Drake, Betsy, Brett Noble, Coney Pagano, Daniela Danube Daniels, Danan Rolls, Dipanjali Rao, Ether W, Erin Keenan, Eleni Saxon, Ellen, Vera, Ferdis Verdons, Francis Wilkins, Gathering Moss, Gina Geise, Gina Radovic, Grossitz Kyle, Growing Nurse, Hannah Matlin, Heather Uppingham, Hoji Scott, Yana Griffin, Jennifer Martin, Jessica Chia, Jonas Barry, Hjorth Larson, Kara, Catherine P, Casey Gross, Kelly Gallagher, Kelso, Kimberly Polka, Kiwi Mochi, Christy Ehrlich, Elle Lindberg, Lee Mooney, Lisa Mary MPLS, Lucas Yarchevsky, Mandy Milliken, Marcel Har, Maria Stein, Marina Yarmolich, Mars B, Marty Miller, Mary Rose, Melissa Walker, Michelle Heron, Mirka Grun-Roos, MJW, Moa Edmond, Miss Seidenhar, Nelly Yang, Niha, Nicole Moreau, Nina Nguyen, Nita Macy, Odette, PJ, Plan Druid, Syke Zera, Rachel Peterson, Renee, Rebecca C, Sharon Bone, Sophia Rian, Starla Von Lith, Stephanie H2O, Sophie Cortecangas, Tessa Martins, Thomas Marsden, Tia B, Trista Bailey, Tristan Thomas, Xenia Green, Youth of the Walamut, Zaira Rivera, Zordorama, and Zlogobni Pony. Also, a big thank you to my $3 patrons: Anna Malia, Karen Kilone Constance, Daryl De Rosario, Eden Corlett, Holly Borner, KPZ, Lindsay Ann, Monica Wykers, Nella, Nerdy Kathy, Renee Church, Ringlov, Sheila Casper, Tang Cool, VH, and Wendy Foreman. And a thank you to my $1 patrons: one anonymous patron, Alice Borlin, Andrew G, Aquila, Brandon Pacheco, Catherine Molina, Couture Helvetica, Amelia Bronson, Jolie Sullivan, Kayla Vavra, Kelly Ash, Chris Perez, Laura E. Jackson, Lauren at Tugboat Plans, Laurie N. Subramaniam, Luzmin Fernandez, Marga FV, Mary Diamond, Neely Spicer, Olivia Chinmuller, and Pacific NW Plant Lady.